Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer dissection video. Sometimes on my channel I do beers that I've never had before. Sometimes there's beers that are very popular that I'm almost ashamed to say I haven't had in a very long time. And then sometimes it's just everyday beers that everyone can kind of get commercially. So I run a range of things. What I have today, though, is from Founders, the famous KBS Stout, which means Kentucky Breakfast Stout. That's what KBS stands for. It's been around for quite a while. I can't tell you how long it's been, but it is an imperial stout. It is brewed in bourbon barrels. Okay, and this one, every batch is a little bit different. This one's coming in at 12% alcohol. So I don't know their entire process. Usually after primary fermentation, and they'll stick them into bourbon barrels for a period of time. They used to house bourbon, and it develops some of the oak, of course, the bourbon flavor. Sometimes that's still in the barrel. A vanilla character, oak, of course, wood, and then, of course, the typical flavor components that you would get in an imperial stout. Chocolate, roast. This one, this is the one that kind of fell in the category that I have to say, I must have had this before. It's been a very long time though. You see in the store most of the time. I don't drink a lot of imperial stouts. I do enjoy them, especially in the winter time. You can kind of sip them by the fire. I call those sit by the fire type of beers. And, I remember having good memories of it, but I definitely haven't reviewed it for this channel. And I don't know if there's a few other variations. Those of you who have drank this more regularly, maybe you can chime in at the bottom of YouTube or Facebook and tell me. I thought there were a few other versions of this out there. But I think this is the original, or the OG, I guess you can call it. It does say the original right on the bottle. Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. So again, those of you who are fans of Imperial Stout, I'm sure, are very familiar with this beer. I have it pretty warm right now. I had it delivered not that long ago. I threw it in the freezer for maybe 20 minutes, and it's been sitting out now for another 10, so it's pretty warm. I like to drink these beers. Imperial Stouts, probably no lower than about 50 degrees. When in doubt, serve them maybe a little bit colder, let it warm up in your glass. So that's pretty much it. But Founders, again, it's out of Michigan. They were bought out by Big Beer. I want to say Budweiser, but it may not be Budweiser. I forget who bought them out, Founders, but one of the big beer companies. And a lot of you are familiar with the Founders IPAs, the all-day IPAs and everything like that. So I just want to take a look at this. So this Big Bold Imperial Stout is brewed with premium chocolate and coffee, then aged in bourbon barrels that introduce powerful notes of vanilla, cocoa, and charred oak. We'll take a smell of this ourselves. I'm actually surprised they use real chocolate, not using chocolate malt like Brooklyn Lager. I'm going to say Brooklyn Lager. Brooklyn Brewing Company has a chocolate stout that doesn't use any chocolate. They just have a nice mix of the grist with chocolate malts and brown malts and roasted barleys and things like that. So anyway, Founders KBS Kentucky Breakfast Stout. Don't know why it got that name years ago. At least the breakfast stout part of it. Many people, not that I'm against drinking beer at breakfast time, like people drink champagne. I did a whole video on that about beers you can drink, instead of at brunch back last holiday season, I believe it was. So anyway, so let's pour this bad boy out and take a look at it. Wow. It is pouring like jet black. Let me just do about half of it, half a glass at least. I'm using my tulip pint glass here, okay, which I would recommend something stemmed, flute, so we can kind of have a little surface area at the bottom and then kind of narrow at the top to kind of concentrate a lot of those aromatics. All right, so let's take a look at this. I didn't pour it too aggressively, got about just shy of an inch of kind of a medium to light brown head. Beer looks pretty dark brown to, I wouldn't argue. Someone said black. I'm saying dark brown. You can kind of see there's a little bit of light coming through the side, so it looks like it's still pretty clear though. But anywhere from black to dark brown range. Okay, let's take a sniff of the aroma here. Oh wow, you get like big time dark chocolate roast. You kind of get like that wet oak smell. I've been a home brewer for years, and if you were like, had the oak chips and you were kind of gnawing on them, or even if you just boiled them to sanitize them before you maybe put them in a secondary fermenter, you get that whiff of oak. Okay, and again, there's that perceived boozy smell. All right, we're not tasting it yet, but you kind of get that aromatic, dark fruits, like raisins soaked in maybe in that rum or a bourbon, excuse me. Cooked figs, kind of really dark, rich chocolate. I get coffee. I mean, there's definitely some coffee notes to it, but it's really that chocolate. And again, I'm actually quite surprised they literally use chocolate in this, because a lot of them it'll give you chocolate notes, but they're usually using chocolate malt and other grains in the grist to create that perception that you think you're smelling and tasting chocolate. Very nice though. On a longer sniff, I think I get a little bit more of like that alcohol aroma. So I'm expecting this to be pretty boozy, as well as the oak, maybe a little vanilla that I'm getting. But overall, smells pretty good. It's a little bit like, I'd have to do it side by side with their, what's their other famous Bourbon Stout? God, what's the other one? Not this, the KBS. There's a, well, God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm not going to tie myself up, those, but I'm going to smack myself after I finish recording this video. Goose Island, that's it, Goose Island. Bourbon Stout, Kentucky, and that's an imperial stout. That's usually around 22%. So anyway, guys, and the malts too. Let me make sure. Like I said, chocolate, woodsy oak, vanilla, dark fruits. Okay, cheers, guys. Wow. It's actually a little more carbonated than I thought it was going to be. Definitely got that medium carbonation. The first thing I want to mention, I just took that quick swig. I'm getting a ton of alcoholic warmth. It is at 12%. If you watch more than one of my videos, I usually say 7.5 to 8 is where I start to feel it. 12%, it's like I felt it kind of going down my throat, which isn't the most appealing thing. If I want that, I'd take a shot of like gin or vodka or something. But it's not, I won't completely, trash the beer because of it, but you definitely get a lot of warmth coming down there. Other things, getting that chocolate again. As I sit here, get the wood, the oak, as the aftertaste is kind of setting up. There is some good bitterness here too, by the way. There's a nice, good pronounced bitterness. And I think you want that with something this high in alcoholic strength, because as much as they're attenuating it and you're getting 12% beer, there's still some residual sweetness here. But thankfully, it's not really cloyingly sweet. Something's giving me a little bit of a astringency, or almost like you're getting like either astringency or a little bit of a, quote unquote bite to it. But again, chocolate, little coffee, not as much kind of coffee roast as I would get in like Old Rasputin's Imperial Stout, or I think it's Narwhal too. Again, on that front end, I'm getting a little bit of this astringency, a little bit on the front end. it settles down, and you're left kind of with the woodsy oak. There's some vanilla again in there, chocolate. But there's something not appealing on the front end when I'm first taking a sip of it. I know a lot of you will be screaming at me because a lot of people rave about this beer. Again, it's been quite a while that I've had it. But again, I am getting, some good pronounced bitterness there too. Let me take another sip. But this is definitely a sipper. Okay, I can tell from the alcoholic warmth that I get being at 12%. That this is not one that you can be guzzling, or it's not one of the quaffable, crushable beers that I've reviewed on this channel. You also get, again, you get that dark chocolate, a little bit of that, again, that dark fruit, raisin, plum, like, caramelized raisins, plums, maybe almost like fruit cake in the winter time, around Christmas time. Listen, it's going down okay. It's very boozy. Okay, and again, at 12%, it's not drinking like a 10-12% golden Belgian dark strong Belgian quad. It's drinking like a true 12% beer. Those beers, a lot of times, because sometimes you use sugar and things like that, they're a little bit attenuated, they're a little crisper. This one's drinking like 12%, maybe even like 15%, because it is a little bit heavy heat to it. I gotta say, I like the chocolate notes. But again, I don't know if it's the alcoholic boozy side of things. I get this astringency right on the front end. The aftertaste settles down a little bit. I guess I am getting a little bit of that bourbon, but because I am, as I sit here, I take like 5-6 sips now. It kind of settles in there with the oak, vanilla, chocolate, deep, rich, dark chocolate. A little bit of coffee. I think as the aftertaste settles in, you get a little bit less left with the coffee. But overall, it's pretty good. I know some of you rave. I got friends that rave about this beer. I'm gonna have to say, like today's beer dissection, those of you fast forwarded, is Kentucky Breakfast Stout from Founders. Listen. Overall drinkability, I'm only going to give it a B. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's average. It's good. I'll enjoy the rest of this glass. Compared to other imperial stouts, I got to say I enjoy Old Rasputin a little bit better from North Coast. Granted, that one is not, unless they've done something differently, they don't oak age it, and you're not getting the oak character and stuff like that, but I just think it's a better, well-made stout. I'd be shocked if they are doing an oak. I'd love to try it out. Because again, this one is, even on the nose here, you kind of getting that dank bourbon kind of smell, which would make sense there. So, like I said, I'm going to give it a B, kind of average. I bring it down to B minus probably if I was comparing to other stouts. I think I enjoy the Goose Island better than this one, even though that one's at 22%. That one is a completely different animal. That one I think is a little bit smoother, and I don't get that astringency to it as I'm getting here on the front end of this. But that's just my personal opinion. And you also get in the warmth. So anyway, guys, this may not be a popular video for some of you because some of you guys rave about this beer. The Founders KBS Imperial Stout, it's pretty good. I just think that there's other better Imperial Stouts out there. I think I'm not maybe it's just me and oak aging. I don't think oak aging, my wine, that's great. My beers, I could take it or leave it at times. I just want a well-made beer. And then if you're going to age it a little bit better. I just don't think this is the base beer here is probably that great. And then they're putting it in oak for a while and bourbon and you know, saying, oh, it's Imperial Stout, you're at 12%. It becomes a big rage. I think this is just kind of a, I don't want to say it's a fad beer because it's been around for a while. It just, for me, I just think there's better Imperial Stouts out there. And maybe if those were oak aged or put in bourbon barrels, I would probably enjoy a little bit more. This one, I think is just maybe even the base beer is just substandard. And so, yeah, you're getting that boozy, you know, oak age, and there is some complexity to the vanilla and the chocolate and the oak, but I just kind of, it's falling a little bit flat for me there, okay? Again, it's almost like, I don't know, it's just missing something from me. It's not, you know, a little bit, should be a little smoother. It's a little too astringent. Alcoholic warmth bites you. But the chocolate notes, the oak does well, I think. But I think the base beer on this is not that great. And then they just throw it in oak and, you know, throw tons of malt in there, make it $24 for a 4-pack or whatever it is. All right, guys, so today's beer dissection, hopefully that was informative. You may not agree with me. Founders, KBS, Imperial Stout, oak aged, 12%, I believe I said. So until next beer dissection video or next beer video in general, have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.